Welcome back to the Real Arsenal Deal podcast. This is Rav, as always, your host. How is everyone today? Wherever you are in the world, thank you so much for watching in. I'm recording this Thursday lunchtime here in Melbourne, Australia. Beautiful sunny day outside. And just like that, before we know it, the new Premier League season is upon us. Arsenal kick things off tomorrow night, UK time, Friday night. A 5 a.m. kickoff here Saturday morning, so I'm primed for that. I'm ready, and Arsenal look pretty damn ready to me as well. So a few things I'll talk about today. I'll just give my thoughts, my preview on that match. Ezri Konsa, it sounds all but done now. Ornstein report, you've probably seen it, just like everyone else has now. Around 51 million looks like being the final amount. I will talk about that and some other bits and pieces around the transfer window. So let's just get straight into it. And if you're new to the channel, thank you so much for tuning in. I know there is just an absolute host of Arsenal content at the moment. There's interviews. I haven't watched them all either in terms of the new season. A great interview with Arteta on the Men in Blazers YouTube channel. I would highly recommend you watch that. But just in general, there's so much content. I know even my podcast feed, when I checked it this morning, all the main podcasters that I follow, there's just so much. There's so many episodes uploaded. I understand there's plenty to pick and choose from. I'm not a massive channel. I'm very much aware of that, but just a big thank you to those who choose to listen, especially during the off season when it's been quiet and just not much happening. The World Cup sort of ended. I really appreciate it. I'm very grateful for those continue to listen. So if you're new here, welcome. Thank you so much. And please consider liking, subscribing, and follow the show on Apple or Spotify or whatever podcast app you use. First off, I actually want to talk about that Arteta interview. As I mentioned earlier, please do check it out. I'm just going to be paraphrasing bits and pieces here, but I loved the way he answered the question. It was put to him, how are Arsenal prepared to start our Premier League defence? And he immediately corrected that. He reframed it. He is using the word attacking. We are not defending our title, our league crown. We are attacking that. I actually loved it. It's just such a simple but powerful message, and it just speaks to the mentality within Arsenal at the moment. Just hearing the snippets from when players talk, how they're primed, how they're ready for what the new season holds. It's so palpable for me, as just watching and listening to them. I get excited because it's a window, it's an insight into the mentality of the group. And I know in this day and age when players and managers, they're so highly media trained and that they almost know what to say before the question is put to them. But there's something different. There's just a real energy. It's been a through line of Arsenal the last few seasons where in times gone by, I haven't really seen this from Arsenal. I haven't seen this consistent mentality all the way throughout. Whoever is at the end of the microphone, they just almost speak with one collective voice. It's really noticeable. It's really noticeable for me. And as I said, highly recommend you listen to that interview. The way he said that we are attacking this new season, I absolutely love it. And in general, when you just take a step back and you zoom out, some of the things that really stand out to me is that Arteta was already, this is amazing by the way, he's only into year 6 or year 7 Arsenal, but he's already the longest serving Premier League manager. I find that wild to think about. There's been so much turnover, so much change at other clubs, and Arsenal are stable. Like, we are the most consistent, stable club at the moment. When you look around, there are a number of clubs in transition. It's hard to know what you're going to make of Chelsea because they buy and trade. They buy and sell so many players every single summer anyway. And like, you think by the law of averages, at one point, surely it's going to click. And it somehow doesn't, despite, the amount that they spend. I think it's under the new ownership, they spend over €2 billion already. And you think to yourself, how are they finishing 10th? They're a bit of a basket case with that. But Xabi Alonso is the kind of, sit up and take notice type of manager that they've acquired now. So they're an unknown quantity. Who knows, is it going to be too soon for them or not, for them to kick into gear this season or not? Well, only time will tell. But it's going to take them a few months to gel. They're still so active in the transfer market. They may even end up selling someone like Enzo Fernandez, Pedro Neto. These are big personalities. These are big players, big names. So it might take them a few months to get going. Similar, Liverpool, a fantastic manager as well. Iriola, I've got a lot of time for. He's excellent. There's still so much work to do in that squad, though. There's still gaps. There are gaps. There are big question marks in defence, in midfield. Surely at some point they're going to have a bit of injury luck with their forwards. Isak, you probably heard me talk about on this channel before, wonderful footballer, wonderful player. In times gone by, what could have been had Arsenal moved for him quite some years ago now. But again, an unknown quantity. You don't know if or how long it's going to take them to click. United, of course, it's going to be different for them now. You know, they had the benefit of playing one game a week last season. They're going to have Champions League football to contend with. They haven't been as active in the transfer market this window. A few disgruntled noises coming from their fans, wondering, like, you know, what are they doing? And I'm just going through sort of the main teams at the moment. Manchester City, how could I forget them? Not only Guardiola leaving, but Bernardo Silva and now Rodri as well. Rodri is confirmed joining Barcelona. That's a lot of turnover. That's a lot of turnover in one particular summer. And to a lesser extent, John Stones as well. I know he hasn't played as much football the last year or two for City, but when you zoom out and you think of the great Manchester City teams of the last 3, 4, 5, 6 seasons, these have been pillars, these names, they've been massive for City. And that's a lot of turnover at one particular time. New manager as well. It's unknown, like what's going to happen there. They're also looking like they're going to spend 200 million or so on someone like Enzo Fernandez and Buardi as well. You don't know if it's going to work or how long it's going to take. So the point I'm trying to make through all of this is that there's so much noise. There's so many question marks everywhere else except for Arsenal. We are actually looking very stable at the moment. Very stable. Yes, there's question marks on some outgoings and we tried and it didn't quite come off, trying to elevate at left wing. I understand all of that. However, we're the defending Premier League champions. We've got the longest serving manager. We've got an amazing squad, by the way, and we've just picked off Newcastle's best player, one of the best Premier League midfielders in the entire league, Bruno Guimaraes, and we're about to sign Ezri Konsa as well to shore up in defence. I mean, it's looking pretty damn good at the moment, and I just think that this mindset, that going back to Arteta's comments about attacking this new season, I think this needs to be the mindset. We should be in point accumulation mode. The first 2-3 months of this season, just amass as many points as possible, bank those points, put all the scoreboard pressure on, let the others figure it out, let them trip amongst themselves and just, sort themselves out and try and find a cohesive team with a new game plan, new players, new manager. Let them all do that. Meanwhile, Arsenal just quietly go about our business. Let's just take care match by match. And by the time that they click to, however long it takes, let them look up at the table and just see, hopefully, clear distance between where we are, hopefully, positioned at the time, and let everyone just chase us. I think this is the right mentality to take. Let's just go out there and do what we know, what we're capable of. And if that performance against Manchester City a few days ago is any glimpse, I mean, what a time even just to reflect on that. We were 3-0 ahead against Manchester City, and we had the luxury of bringing on Bukayo Saka and Declan Rice. We were 3-0 up after 48 minutes, and they came on around the hour mark. I mean, like, what is this? I mean, what an amazing time to be an Arsenal fan. Like, who could have even dreamt of such a scenario just a few years ago? Because it speaks to the strength in depth we have in the squad. And I may as well now include Ezri Konsa into this mix. So look, it's an absolutely necessary signing that we need to make. We needed coverage. We needed to shore up in defence. Last weekend against City, if something happened to Ben White, if something happened to Mosquera, that right side of defence is under real pressure at the moment. I mean, we spread quite thin. You're into Marley Salmon territory, and take nothing away from the young man who's been on a remarkable rise, and he will hopefully have a long-term flourishing career at Arsenal. At 16 years old, though, you got to protect him. You got to manage expectation. You got to protect his development as well. To thrust him into something it's such a precarious pressure cooker style situation as a defender in this league, right? We wouldn't be doing the right thing by him. Saliba is still a few months away, but it's hard to put a timeline on that. I mean, everyone just nominates that sort of 3 to 4 month window when we refer to him. Timber's unknown as well. Depending on who you believe, is he actually training with the first team or not? Is he on grass or don't quite know? And White, as we know, that he is looking fit and sharp. Absolutely. He's looking fantastic, in excellent condition. However, after the third or fourth match in a row, right, we're almost into the red zone with him again. And if he gets injured, can we all be, can we blame him? Can we blame anyone but ourselves? So we need protection. We need coverage on that side of the pitch. It also helps Mosquera as well, not overloading and burdening him. So with the addition of Quansah, he can play right back. He can play at right centre half as well. He provides that extra coverage. And all of a sudden, we've got 3 into 2. This is just at the start of the season, by the way. This is up until the point that Timber and Saliba are ready to return. But you've got 3 defenders there: Quansah, Mosquera, White, with the potential of Salmon to come on late on in matches if someone needs to breathe, if someone needs to sit down in the last 15, 20 minutes or so. So all of a sudden, the dynamics change there. When you just run threadbare on just a couple of those numbers, you're rolling the dice. And we know what happens. We're all Arsenal fans. We've been here before, right? When you tempt fate with injuries, it comes back to bite. And those cluster injuries have haunted Arsenal for so long, having a number of players in the one position out at the same time. We've all been there. We've been there enough. So I like this move from Arsenal. I know it's not Vinny Jr. or anything. I know we're all looking for that left wing forward, but potentially this type of signing is actually more important to protect our defense, to protect how vulnerable we are at the back, because as many question marks as we may have about our attack, and I understand them, if you completely fall away from Arsenal's defensive excellence, then it's kind of moot who plays at left wing or not. If we start shipping in silly goals and we played through, right? We're not within the ground duels. We're not passing, distributing. We're not pressing in terms of how good our system is. If we start to fall away from that, it doesn't matter who starts at left wing. So I really like this signing. I know it's come at a cost. It's a pretty expensive signing. We understand as well, though, from an Arsenal point of view, that when you buy from the Premier League, when you need to pay that extra premium, right? When you're buying established players, proven, which Quansah absolutely is. He's 28. He's played a lot of matches for Aston Villa. I think it racked up over 4,000 minutes last season for them. He's durable as well. A touch wood. I don't want to start talking up someone's, fitness injury record, because again, I don't want to tempt fate. But he's durable as well. His data is very strong as well. He's ranked number 1 for ground duels in the Premier League. I mean, this is nothing to be sneezed at. I know it's a pretty considerable fee. At the end of the day, this is the price you pay when you want to tick off those topics I just mentioned. Premier League proven, England international. He knows the league. He's 28, experienced, versatile, plays right back, plays centre half, and I just think it's a smart sign. As well, of course, there's the English tax on top of it, because he's, homegrown, England international. And then, of course, there's an Emery tax as well, because Aston Villa and Arsenal, quite a frosty relationship, as we know. In fact, some of the reports suggested that due to some frostiness between the two clubs, that it took the intervention of Josh Kroenke. He probably has some contacts and networks and relationships at ownership level as well for Villa, and he can come in and just dot the I's, cross the T's, and to try and seal an amicable deal for all parties. So it's in everyone's best interest just to get it done. On the face of it, I don't know if it's going to be in time now. It seems pretty tight to be registered in time for the Coventry match, which I'll come to in a moment. It seems quite tight, but hopefully it can happen. He can at least appear on the bench in the squad. But failing that, then I imagine he'll be done in time for next week for the second match. Which, if I could just have I got this right? Actually, it's match day 2. Arsenal are away at Villa. My goodness, Arsenal away at Villa Stadium next weekend. Wow, I didn't quite realize that as I was talking. Then something in the back of my mind I was thinking, is this true or not? Are we actually going to Villa? Wow. Well, and the reason I knew that is because I think I mentioned it some weeks ago on a prior recording about the Morgan Rogers transfer, that imagine we get it done in time for the new season, and the very first away match, the second weekend, he will be returning to Aston Villa to play in front of that crowd. But anyway, I guess the same point applies, different player. So with the addition of Quansah as well, like we've got a lot of defensive options, maybe not immediately, right? But towards the middle back end of this season, we'll have a host of combinations to choose from. And we all know from Arteta's system how important the pairings are on the right-hand channel, the left-hand channel. Who are the fullbacks? Who are the forwards in front of them? Same on the left-hand side between Hincapié, Calafiori, on right back between White, Timber, and then at centre halves, you've got the option of rotating, playing the likes of Gabriel, Quansah. Timber can play centre half as well. White can. We know that. It doesn't happen as often anymore in the last few seasons, but he's able to. We got Calafiori can deputise at left centre half. So can Hincapié, by the way. Lewis Skelly at a pinch as well if you want to invert from left back. So just a magnificent set of defenders on paper. Look at all the different combinations you can have just by naming them in no particular order. It is fantastic, and we've kind of got that same those same permutations running in midfield, right? So anyone from Zubimendi, Lewis Skelly, Guimaraes, Marino, they're going to be starting on the bench some games, right? If we get to a point where we've got all of our players fit and firing back, I mean, Declan is first choice basically. He's got to be in that midfield. So is Odegaard as well, given his preseason form and how fantastically sharp he's looking as well. A real glimpse, a real recapturing of the Odegaard of old, and how important he is to Arsenal's system. Like what he does on field as an on-field coach, he's almost irreplaceable. So that leaves one option in midfield with a number of players to be able to fill into that spot. I mean, it's fantastic, just the number of permutations that we have. And it brings me to my next point about, are Arsenal ready? There's been some understandable question marks as well about the transfer window. Have we done our business as smartly or as ambitiously as Arteta referred to some months ago? And I understand the question marks. And I've had those question marks too. I'll expand a bit more on when I come to talk about outgoings, about just the way we're conducting ourselves, and just it's not really Arsenal like. But in terms of the squad readiness, so it's been a difficult summer to really predict, because you've had the World Cup. We've had so many players participate at the World Cup, and it's been staggered returns for them, staggered reintroductions, reintegrations. Some of them have really benefited from playing at the World Cup, players like Marino, Odegaard, who have suffered long-term injuries, but they've been able to play consistent minutes at the World Cup. It's probably been good for them, for their preparation. Kai Havertz is another one. Others are at the other end of the scale, like Bukayo, Declan Rice. They've just been overloaded with minutes. And maybe to a lesser extent as well, Madueke. He's played a lot of football for Arsenal last season, and he went deep into the World Cup as well. So overall, there's been understandable question marks. Are Arsenal ready now for the start of the Premier League season? And look, the squad looks pretty damn ready to me. I'm looking on paper, and there aren't any major long-term absentees aside from Saliba and Timber, who I've mentioned a few times. There's question marks, of course, about who starts where, and these are nice dilemmas to have. By the way, we've also got the benefit of someone like Max Dowman with a further preseason under his belt. He's been training with the first team for probably 2 or 3 years now. So like all this stuff that happens behind the scenes, it prepares you for moments like this. I would like to see him, if he's not going to start, if Saka's not going to start against Coventry, I would like to see him first option on the right-hand side. I don't want to do the whole Madueke thing again. I mentioned it the other day as well, but just one of the question marks that I have is about utilization at that right wing. It's all ifs and buts now, but had we invested those minutes that we put into Madueke last season, have we allocated that to Nwaneri last season, and maybe kept our powder dry, used that 55 million pounds and put it towards Semenyo last January? Who knows? Who knows what could have happened? But I think Nwaneri, he needs to play. Of course, it's not looking likely that he's going to be playing much as a winger. It seems that that's more so from the players' camp. He sees himself as a central player. I read early that Arsenal now seem to be prioritising a loan move for him instead of a permanent sale. I was so relieved to hear that, because these noises in the background rumbling that make me uncomfortable about Arsenal offering players around and shopping them around at the market, especially in Turkey and whatnot, trying to drum up some sales. I didn't feel great about that. And I'm hoping the same applies to Lewis Skelly, because that in itself is a whole, it's a real strange situation to try and make heads or tails of. But Nwaneri on loan to somewhere where he's actually going to play, if we choose correctly, if we utilize this opportunity correctly, if he can develop if he can get a couple of thousand minutes under his belt and then reassess in 12 months' time, you never know, right? He could still have such an enormous long-term career at Arsenal, so young. This is the thing, because Waneri broke through when he was 15, when he became the youngest player at the time to debut in the Premier League. He was 15. It feels like he's been around for a long time, but he's still only 18, 19. It's so young for a footballer. You've got so much time ahead of you. And I was really relieved to hear that we're trying to prioritize a loan move for him instead of a sale. We'll talk more in a couple of moments about some further outgoings and further transfer rumblings, but may as well now get to predictions for the opening match against Coventry. Well, if I was to give a prediction, I can't see anything but an Arsenal victory. You kind of have to. You're opening the season, you're Premier League champions, first time in a Premier League match back at the Emirates Stadium as champions. Like, what a moment it's going to be. What a significant moment. It would be one of the hottest tickets in town if you're lucky enough to go for that. I hope you have a wonderful time. It's an incredible atmosphere under lights Friday night at the Emirates Stadium. It's going to be magnificent. And against a promoted team from last year from the Championship who have come up, you have to take care of business. We have to put them away. And I'm not trying to say anything outlandish here and say we start wondering about goal difference. Not at all. Just take care of business. Get the 3 points. I'm looking forward to seeing some of the new players in action. I imagine Solis is going to start because in terms of his body of work across the pre-season, he's really stood out. He's had a goal or an assist in basically every match, and he just looks like a player who slots into Arsenal's system so well. It looks like a player who's been at the club for a lot longer than what he actually has. And what I really like about him is that he just does the simple things and he does them effectively. Sometimes this is such an overlooked, underappreciated attribute of football. But when he wants to do something, it generally comes off. A pass, a run, a dribble. He just makes football look so simple. And there's a time and a place for that. And there's space in your 11 for that. You don't have to be a world-class trickster. You don't have to be pacey. You don't have to do step overs or anything too fancy as a winger to be effective. And Solis is just a classic reminder of that. Looking excellent value, by the way, for the price that we've paid. I've heard some other fans, sort of sit up and take notice and just think like, well, where did Arsenal find him? Like, how have so many other clubs slept on him? Like, when you look at his data, when you look at his stats, the season he just came off last season and the price that we paid to sign him, there's still so much value to be found in the transfer market. And I really think this is going to prove to be one of the smartest, more astute signings of the summer. So I see him starting and I'm looking forward to it. Bruno Guimaraes as well probably will start. I reckon it's too soon for Declan Rice. Without trying to sound, how am I going to say this? Without trying to sound arrogant or entitled or anything like that, I'm hoping I'm not coming across that way. However, when you look at the minutes that Declan Rice has played, especially over summer, right, just the amount of pain and injuries that he's been battling through, we surely have enough in midfield. And this is the part I'm trying not to be too arrogant to say. We surely should be able to sit down Declan Rice from starting this match and take care of business against a promoted team. I mean, you kind of have to, right? If we want to achieve what we're all hoping we achieve this season, we're going to have to find ways to win without Declan Rice. We're going to have to find ways to win without Saliba. And that's going to be a challenge because our win rate, our percentage rate with Saliba and without him, it's worrying. It's a worrying stat to have a look at. It's uncomfortable. However, we're going to have to make do with this now. This is not anything that's going to solve itself anytime soon. Saliba's going to be missing a chunk of the season, so we're going to have to. Same thing with Saka. We're going to have to find ways to win without overloading our key players. And this is a prime opportunity to show that. So I imagine Lewis Skelly will start. I mean, he deserves it over his body of work too over pre-season. He was fantastic against Manchester City. That pass, I watched it so many times and I love it. It gets better every time. Guimaraes, Lewis Skelly in midfield, Odegaard to round them off. And then we've got decisions to make at centre forward and right wing, and it looks like Havertz is likely going to start. He's had a very good preseason too. And then you've got a question to ask at right wing. Look, I would prefer if it's not Saka, which again, it shouldn't be, right, because he needs to be protected as well. He should be managed accordingly. I would like to see Max Dowman start, but that's just me. Arteta will quite likely go with Madueke. Maybe Dowman can appear in the second half, but otherwise, I think the back line as well largely takes care of itself. I mean, we've seen that's been pretty stable. The back four, the starting back four, named the last few matches. White, Mosquera, Gabriel, Calafiori as well has been an excellent touch this preseason, and Rye in goal, and that's a pretty damn strong 11. Even noting some very notable absentees. I mean, I look at that 11 and I think, wow, like just what an amazing time to be an Arsenal fan. So I'm really looking forward to that. As I said before, to Saturday morning kickoff here, 5 a.m. I will try my absolute best to get a post-match recording out soon after. The match will probably finish around 7 a.m. and then it's a very tight time of the morning for us before Saturday morning's kids' sport starts. So I'll try my best to at least get something out then. But yeah, really looking forward to it. And I see, so hopefully we are going to be seeing a resounding Arsenal performance and 3 points on the board. So final topic then, just some transfer rumour updates and various rumblings. There's so much sort of stuff happening at the moment. I'll just try and condense it down. I've already spoken about Ezri Konsa, very wise move to make. And it wouldn't surprise me if that essentially concludes our business this summer. I know going into this transfer window, we were hoping to really elevate and upgrade at left wing. We've tried with Rodgers, tried with Vinny Jr. I think those sagas have been spoken about comprehensively now, so I don't need to add anything more to that. But the other side of the coin is that you don't want to just do something for the sake of doing it. And I wonder that, are we better off now just sticking with what we know? We know that we're automatically going to improve anyway this season just by keeping hopefully the likes of Havertz, Saka fit, the addition of Bruno Guimaraes, who does transform Arsenal's midfield. He does offer an attacking threat as well. Odegaard back and fit, hopefully can remain fit as well for a consistent period of time. And we've got second seasons out of Gyökeres, second season Madueke, second season Eberechi Eze, who is not really been spoken about much as in the discussion about left wing. He's not really been factored in as much. I wonder now that, are we better off going in with our left wing options, Solis, Eze and Martinelli? And on the right, of course, we've got Saka, Madueke, Dowman, our centre forward options, Havertz, Gyökeres, Merino. So just collectively across it, that's quite a strong attacking group to choose from. Now, is it that world-class elite level that's going to, is it on par with PSG, for example? Probably no, but as a system, as a collective system, I believe in that. I believe in that stability. I wouldn't want to just buy someone for the sake of buying because we all knew we needed to splash the cash and sign a left winger this season. I don't feel Barcola is the answer. That's just me. I'm not at those prices. And I wonder, are we better off just deferring this decision, get to January? Because you never know what opportunities come up in January. I've used the Semenyo example before, and there might be some learnings there from Arsenal, because we did all that business last summer. We didn't have really anything up our sleeve to do anything major in terms of money, resources. We didn't have much to operate with come January. The previous season, because we'd used all of our loan spots on Raheem Sterling prior, and then Neto as a backup goalkeeper at the time, we didn't have anything up our sleeve to do anything that January, despite all the injuries we suffered the prior season. So I just wonder, are there some learnings now? Should we just get there? And then you never know. You may have to run at someone like Krupi. I know he's got an injury at the moment, and look, I've sung his praises here before, and I think he's a wonderful player, wonderful emerging player that maybe he becomes available in January. Maybe he's the one that we can splash that big money. So this is just me talking out loud. But by the way, I don't expect anyone to agree with me on this, but I just wonder, I know there's an inching, a pining in the fan base to sign someone at left wing. I would caution against that. I wonder, are we better off now just going in with what we know? Can we then look to utilize Eze more? He's had 12 months now in the Arsenal system, learning that role, being coached by Arteta. Can he now play more on the left than what we perhaps factored in? And that could be an internal solution. And let's just revisit things down the track. That's just my 2 cents on it. And last thing, just in terms of some outgoings, nothing major yet that I've heard or read about Jesus to Napoli. That was sort of floated a little while back. I'm not sure if things are developing. Fabio Vieira is another one who looks, needs to find a new club, but I think Arsenal is just waiting for a proper fee before agreeing. So, and then who's the other one? That's it. Reece Nelson to West Ham looks like a loan deal happening. That hasn't been finalised yet at the time of recording this. Hopefully it will be. I just can't help but feel that this nagging story about Lewis Skelly is just floating in the air uncomfortably. And it's not helped because Arteta hasn't come out and just categorically refuted it. He's had a couple of chances, right? And he hasn't quite taken it. I just don't like what's happening in the background with Arsenal going to representatives and in Turkey and what I'm trying to drum up some offers. It's very un-Arsenal-like. And when you look at some of the fees being paid by Saudi clubs, other Premier League clubs, those are the relationships to cultivate. We've never really benefited from that. Saudi, they may not be spending as big as they were, say, a few seasons ago, but it's not like we enjoyed any benefit from that either. We were paying players. Remember when we were cancelling contracts? We were paying them a bag of money to walk out the door. We were cancelling the contracts of the likes of, was it Nicolas Pepe and there's some others that I've forgotten. Aubameyang springs to mind. But if we want to cultivate relationships to generate sales, those are the ones to do. Why are we going to Turkey when, as it showed, the market isn't quite what it is there in terms of fees offered? But also Martinelli had no inclination to go and play there, and it made us look quite foolish, right? It looks like we went behind his back to try and offload him there. And this doesn't sit right. It doesn't sit well. And offering him around via an intermediary to United and Chelsea, it just doesn't sit right. I find this very strange. And I'm hoping internally now that there's some course correction. Hopefully they've listened to the fans, to the feedback, because these will be hugely unpopular decisions, especially the method that is being taken to make these things happen. I wish it's gone away. I wish the story had completely gone away. But at the same time, since all this stuff has been happening, Lewis Skelly has been first choice. He's being picked and he's delivering on the pitch. So maybe Arteta is sending us a message that way, that he's choosing him, he's selecting him, and he's delivering. So maybe that in itself is putting 2 and 2 together, that he's here to stay. But it will be nice just to hear it directly, just to put this story to bed. Until then, I'm just going to continue to be a little bit nervous about it. So let's wait and see. Okay. On that note, I'm going to bring this one to a close. Thank you so much for listening. I will talk to you all again soon, and come on, Arsenal.